Let's talk about the Tour de France for a minute, Joe, because it's coming right around the corner. I think we're just over a month away. And besides the yellow jersey, the big one is the green jersey. And how will it be won? We saw over the years Sagan just dominate the green jersey competition. Joe, you have some theories, some ideas, and what's been going on in the last few years and who won it last year?
Yeah, well, last year was kind of a weird year because a pure sprinter won the green jersey with Sam Bennett. And yeah, Gregor and I did some digging, and we think the last time a pure sprinter won was way back in 2011 with Mark Cavendish. Since then, it's been dominated by Peter Sagan. Then we also had Michael Matthews in 2017. I think that was the year that Peter Sagan got ejected from the race, wasn't it?
Yeah. And now if you look at the points on offer now at the Tour de France, there are 50 points on offer for the sprint stages, 30 on those hilly stages, and 20 on those mountain stages. And that's where we saw really Peter Sagan come to life in those years that he won the 7 green jerseys, because he can climb so well and he can sprint as well too, and he loves attacking and getting those points on the hilly stages. Can Peter Sagan win another green jersey? Can he get revenge in this Tour de France after not doing so well last year and really kind of having a quiet last 12 months? If you think about it, he had last won in the Giro d'Italia last year. Now he's come back and he's recently won a stage in the Giro d'Italia. Before that, he won a stage, started off his year in winning in Catalunya and a stage in Romandier. But he hasn't been the Peter Sagan that we all used to love. The Sagan that won 3 times the World Championships, Sagan that won the points jersey 7 times. Joe, what's your take? Is Sagan going to get revenge in the Tour de France this year?
I'd like to see it because, yeah, I definitely don't want to call him washed out. But when you look at who's on the start list in contention for that green jersey, you've got Wout van Aert, you've got Mathieu Vanderpool, 2 riders that can sprint pretty well but can also climb. Yeah, that competition is going to be pretty stiff, I think, especially from Wout van Aert.
Yeah, Wout van Aert, we've seen him, he's able to handle himself on the climbs, he's able to handle himself in the sprints, and he can even time trial well as well. And we saw that before he crashed out of the 2019 Tour de France and did so much damage to his leg. And so it's really going to be interesting to see how much Wout van Aert can give to the points competition, because he has to do a lot of work for Primož Roglič, who has that more famous jersey on the team's plate, on the team's agenda, the yellow jersey, after falling short last year to Tadej Pogačar. Just give us an idea of what we have in terms of sprint stages, Joe. What do we got?
Well, in the first week you've got 3, in the second week you've also got 3, and in the last week we found 2, didn't we, Gregor?
Yeah, we do. And the final one, of course, is in Paris. Everybody knows that. In the first week, we have that long run all the way from Brittany in the west, running all the way across the country. It's going to be a long first. Those first weeks are always long, Joe. And we get to the Tenya and the mountain stages there. It should be like 9 days of racing. So I think we have 3 there in that first week. We have 2 in the second week. 3 again in the second week. And that second week, of course, includes the Ventoux stage. And we get into the Pyrenees. And then we have the final week, the short week. We have that final stage into Paris where Sam Bennett confirmed his green jersey last year in Paris. Now, if we're talking about crosswinds, that's going to be a factor. How much will crosswinds play into that green jersey? Because early on, I was up in Brittany a few weeks ago, and we have stages 3 and 4 that really could be exposed to crosswinds. And also in that second week, when we cross from the Alps to the Pyrenees, a lot of those stages we see get blown apart in the winds. And so that's when we see those guys, those teams that have that experience in the crosswinds come to the front, and those teams, those riders can really take control and get points on those days. Who are some of those guys that we're looking at there, Joe?
Well, I think, again, quite a few of the riders in contention for the green jersey should do pretty well in the crosswinds. If you look at Wout van Aert, Mathieu Vanderpool, they're going to do great. Peter Sagan, again, he's normally done well in crosswinds. Was it the 2017 Tour? He was up there with was it Geraint Thomas, Chris Froome, and someone else in one of the crosswind stages?
Bodnar. It was a great stage. We had Sagan with a teammate and Froome with his teammate Chris Froome. Who else?
Who else have we got? And then Caleb Ewan, again, Lotto Soudal. It's a Belgian team. They're going to be handy with the crosswinds. Maybe Arnaud Démare with FDJ, would his team not be quite as well suited? Obviously, they're going to be looking after Thibaut Pinot if he ended up going, but I think that's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see how guys like Jasper Philipsen gets on, one of these newer guys in the big races, and of course Tim Miller, who won a stage in the Giro d'Italia and has dropped out recently, as did Caleb Ewan, to rest themselves for the Tour de France. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tim gets on. And remember, he's on the same team as Mathieu Vanderpool. How much can Mathieu Vanderpool climb? What can he do? Could he go for the green jersey? We know Wout van Aert can. We know Peter Sagan can. What do you think about Mathieu Vanderpool?
Well, I wouldn't put anything past him. I guess we haven't seen him at the Tour before, but I mean, he's Mathieu Vanderpool, so I guess you'd think whatever Wout van Aert can do, Mathieu Vanderpool can do as well. So yeah, we could see him right up there at the Tour fighting for the green jersey and in the mountains. You heard me say
It's definitely. I'm so excited to see Mathieu Vanderpool at the Tour de France. This is going to be the first time his team, Alpecin Phoenix, is a second division team. They got an invite to race the Tour de France, and everybody remembers Raymond Poulidor well. That's Vanderpool's grandfather. He finished second so many times in the Tour de France, and then of course Vanderpool comes from his father was of course a famous Dutch cyclist as well. So we're gonna have Mathieu Vanderpool at the Tour de France, and it's gonna be cool. So if he just wins a stage, that's enough. But I think being Mathieu Vanderpool, everybody expects so much out of Mathieu Vanderpool. But we're gonna have to watch this coming June 26th on through the rest of July. Those 3 weeks to just see kind of how the Tour de France shapes up. Of course, the yellow jersey, but the green jersey competition is going to be a cool one to watch, especially after we saw Sam Bennett last year kind of rock the Sagan boat and give us an idea that it's not just Sagan who has this green jersey competition locked.